She was yelling before I even got out of my truck. These trees are HOA property. You stole them. Red ribbons were still tied to the pine branches. Fresh cuts on the ground, sap wet like blood. I looked past her and my chest went cold. Half my Christmas trees were already gone, sold, loaded onto a flatbed, with a handwritten sign that said, HOA Community Sale. Cash only. She smiled like she won something. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just said, those are mine. She laughed and slapped a fake notice on my chest. Not anymore. She acted like she owned the land, the air, even the road. She said the HOA approved the sale, and I was lucky they didn't find me too. People from the neighborhood were watching, some holding trees they had just paid for. My kids were in the car behind me, quiet, confused. Christmas music still playing like nothing was wrong. Karen pointed at them and said, "Teach your children not to steal." That line hit harder than anything else. My hands shook, but I stayed calm, because panic was exactly what she wanted. Then she crossed the line. She pulled out her phone and said, "If you don't leave right now, I'm calling the cops and reporting you for trespassing." Trespassing. On the land I bought 2 weeks ago. On the pine farm I planned to save after the old owner died. I watched her walk away, already dialing, already lying. What she didn't know was simple, and it would ruin everything for her. The deed wasn't just in my name, and the cameras she ignored were already recording every word. The sirens came fast, too fast. Not real patrol cars. White SUVs with cheap lights stuck on top, parked sideways like a bad movie scene. 2 men stepped out wearing black jackets that said HOA Security in bold letters, hands already on their belts like they were real cops. Karen stood behind them, arms crossed, smiling. "That's him," she said. "He's been stealing trees and threatening residents. One of the men told me to put my hands on the hood." My kids started crying in the car. Karen leaned close and whispered, "This is what happens when people, like you don't know their place." That's when something inside me snapped, but I still didn't move. I slowly pulled out my phone and said, "Before you touch me, you should listen." The fake officer laughed. "You don't give orders here." He tried to grab my arm. I stepped back and said, clear and calm, "You're impersonating law enforcement on private land." Karen's smile faded for half a second. Just enough. She didn't know the land was private. She didn't know the farm was outside HOA borders. And she definitely didn't know that my wife had already called. Someone the moment the first fake notice hit my door. One of the neighbors whispered, "Wait, isn't this place listed under county land records?" Karen spun around and yelled, "Shut up!" That panic told me everything. The fake cops looked at each other, unsure now. I tapped my phone screen and said quietly, "You might want to leave. Real law enforcement is already on the way." Karen laughed loud to cover her fear. "He's lying," she said. "Arrest him now." One of the fake officers reached for handcuffs anyway. That's when a real sheriff cruiser rolled in slow, tires crunching on pine needles. The air changed. Everyone felt it. The fake guys froze. Karen's face went pale. The sheriff stepped out, calm but sharp. He looked at the trees, the truck, the sign, then at me. "Who owns this land?" Karen jumped in fast. "The HOA, he broke the rules." I didn't speak yet. I just handed the sheriff my phone. Deed papers, county map, GPS boundary lines, all dated, all legal. The sheriff didn't even need a minute. He looked at Karen and said, "Ma'am, this property is not in your HOA." Karen's mouth opened, but no sound came out. The sheriff turned to the fake officers. "And you two, want to explain why you're wearing badges you don't own?" One of them backed away. The other ran. Cameras caught everything. Neighbors were filming now, whispering, pointing. Karen tried to switch tones. "This is a misunderstanding." The sheriff shook his head. "No, this is theft." Then he asked the question that made her knees shake. "Where's the money from the tree sales?" Karen didn't answer. She couldn't, because everyone already knew. Christmas was about to be canceled for her, permanently. Karen tried to walk away, just turned around like none of it was happening. The sheriff stopped her with one word. "Ma'am." She froze. He told her to sit on the curb. She refused. Said she had a meeting, said this was harassment. That's when the neighbor who bought a tree stepped forward, receipt in hand. Cash receipt. Signed by Karen. Another neighbor followed. Then another. Trees, prices, dates. all pointing to her. The sheriff's radio crackled. More units were coming. Karen started crying, loud and messy, saying she was just helping the community. The fake officers were gone now. One had ditched his jacket in the bushes. The sheriff looked at me and said quietly, "You want to press charges?" I looked at my kids, still watching from the car, faces tight with fear. I nodded. Then came the twist she never saw. The sheriff told her, "This land was flagged last month." Karen looked up fast. "Flagged?" He said, "Yeah, for fraud." The previous owner reported, "HOA harassment before he passed." Her hands started shaking. She wasn't just caught today. She'd been building this mess for years. When they stood her up to cuff her, she screamed at me, "You planned this!" I leaned in and said low and steady, "No, you did." And as they put her in the back of the cruiser, the sold trees still sitting in neighbors' yards, I realized this wasn't over yet. Not even close. As they drove her away, one of the deputies stayed back and asked me something strange. "Did you know she tried to file a lien on this land last year?" I didn't. My stomach dropped. He told me she forged HOA papers, sent threats, even blocked buyers before. That's why the farm was cheap. That's why no one touched it. Karen didn't just sell my trees. She tried to steal the land before I ever showed up. Then another hit came. The deputy pointed at the flatbed truck. "Those trees are evidence now." Christmas for my kids was gone. Just like that. My son asked from the car window, "Dad, did we lose Christmas?" I didn't know what to say. That moment hurt more than the handcuffs ever could. But karma didn't wait long. A black SUV pulled in, clean and quiet. A woman stepped out, flashed a badge I recognized instantly. County Fraud Unit. She looked at me and said, "We've been waiting for her to mess up again." Again. She told me Karen wasn't just an HOA bully. She was skimming money, selling things she didn't own, and using fake authority to scare people into silence. The agent asked if I had security footage. I smiled for the first time that day. Every inch of the farm. She nodded and said a line I'll never forget. "Then this just became a felony case. They took my phone, my hard drives, even the dash cam from my truck. Not because I was in trouble, but because everything I had was clean, clear, and deadly to her lies." The fraud agent walked me through it slow. Karen didn't just sell trees. She sold fear. She picked people who wouldn't fight back. New buyers, immigrants, old couples. She used HOA letters like weapons. Most paid, some walked away. Nobody checked. Until now. Then the biggest twist hit me. The agent said, "You know why she rushed the sale today?" I shook my head. She leaned closer. "Because the land officially transferred to you this morning. She lost control today. That's why she exploded. That's why she went public. She needed cash before everything collapsed. And she used Christmas to do it. By evening, real police were knocking on doors. Trees were collected back as evidence. Neighbors were angry now. Not at me, but at her. One man said, "She fined my wife when I was deployed." Another said, "She threatened to take our house." Stories poured out like poison. Finally released. That night I stood alone on the farm. Empty rows where trees once stood, cold wind cutting through. I thought about walking away, selling, letting it go. Then I remembered her words. "You don't know your place." I looked at the land and said out loud, "This is my place." And the next morning, the news trucks showed up. Cameras, microphones. Karen's face was everywhere by noon. HOA leader arrested for fraud and impersonation. Neighbors I never met were standing behind me, telling reporters what she did to them. Fines, threats, fake notices. One woman cried on camera saying she almost lost her home. The story grew fast, faster than Karen ever expected. Then another twist dropped. The county released records live on air. Karen never had authority over my land, or the trees, or the road. She knew it. Emails proved it. She still sold them. Still lied. Still called fake cops. The reporter looked at me and asked how I stayed calm. I said one line, slow and clear. "I didn't fight for this country to be scared on my own land." That clip went everywhere. By evening, the HOA board resigned. Every single one. They claimed they didn't know, but the evidence said otherwise. Bank accounts were frozen. Karen's house was searched. Turns out the Christmas tree money wasn't small. It was just the latest grab. She used holidays to move fast, before people asked questions. My kids watched the news that night. My daughter smiled and said, "Dad, Christmas is back, right?" I pulled them close and said, "Yeah, and it's going to mean something this time." But one last thing was still coming, something Karen never saw. And it would finish it all, end the story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing HOA stories.